What's good, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to the Writer's Room. Today we are reviewing and recapping, doing a quick recap of episode 8 of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. Now, this episode was filled with spins and twists, and we all knew that Marvin was in trouble. So very briefly, I'm just going to discuss what went on in this episode, and then we're going to talk about what to expect for episode 9 because things are really heating up. At the start of this episode, we do get the idiot guy who came up with Marco, the big boss's little brother. We see that he is on his way to the hospital and he is dying out. He's bleeding out. And so we see him arriving at the hospital. But next we see Rock going to visit Palomar. And we know that Palomar had this coming because she was just completely, I'm not going to say the R word, but you know what it was. She was SAing Kanan. Now, Kanan has no idea, but we know that because Famous was watching, that he will let Kanan know what's up. Now, later on in the situation, we do actually see Kanan, and he is at the bus stop, and he sees Scrap's mom actually pull up, and she is in distress. She does not believe that Scrap pulled the trigger on himself. She believes that someone was out there. Now, there are lots of fan theories going around about what happened with Scrap's mom and why she doesn't, suspect Rock of taking out Scrap, seeing as though she was actually the criminal. She was the informant when it came to the police and not Scrap. So it makes no sense. But I really do think that the mom in episode 9 is going to find out that Rock had something to do with her son's, demise. Now we do pan quickly over to Marvin, and he is talking with Unique, and Unique is letting Marvin know that there was a job that went haywire with the boss, and I think you know about it. Unique is playing really coy right now because he has all of this dirt on Marvin, and he knows that he can easily use this against Rock, and we'll see throughout the episode how he does end up using that to his advantage. And we go into Jukebox. Jukebox is pulling up at Kenya's house. We knew this was coming. Lord, we knew this was coming. I knew it, but I really would have liked to see a conversation happen, just letting us know that Kenya was very much aware of Jukebox being gay. Now, we do know from the last episode that Kenya was looking like a proud mom when she seen Jukebox giving out her number to homeboy at the church. Now, that was surprising to me because he was actually at this little seance or whatever they had going, trying to get the demon out of Jukebox, which we know this was just some complete BS. Now we see that Lou is finally winning in this episode. He has finally turned over a new leaf, and I hate to admit, but I really like him and Ziza together. I feel like she brings out the thug in him, like she brings out the best, and he actually brings out the hustle in her, and they just work really well together. I'm not saying this isn't toxic because it is very much toxic as hell, but I do like them together because we know that when he was with Jessica really had him on some weak ass ish because he was literally being Crown's little puppy dog while Jessica was out screwing him, but that's neither here or there. Now, we see that Rock is back with Cartier, and she doesn't speak. In any of these dates with Cartier, he does a lot of flexing, and she just sits there and observes everything. And I think we'll see that come into fruition on the next episode, but stick around. We're going to talk about what to expect. Now, we do see what goes on in this eviction of demons that they're trying to cast out with Jukebox, and Jukebox is letting her mom know that this is the person that I want to be. We never really got any resolve between her and Kenya as to how this whole conversation came about with you realizing that I was gay. Now, honestly, back in the 90s, we do know that women dressing very loosely and looking like, masculine and having fun and playing with androgynous clothing. But we see that maybe that was the reason why Kenya felt in her soul that she was gay. I don't know. But we do know that Marvin did say that runs on Kenya's side of the family. So we'll see how that does play. Now, we do get into Detective Burke and Detective Howard. I'm just going to quickly go over what happened with them this episode. We know that Detective Howard did go to the chief of police and explain what was going on and how Detective Burke was literally invading his privacy and digging into his old files and everything. And of course, Detective Burke is like, what's all of this about? You know, when the chief of police finally calls her into the office, and he pretends like he doesn't know. And I honestly felt like that was the best thing that he could do, because she's been pretending like she hasn't been digging up files from him. So just go along with what she's doing. So that is what is going on with Detective Howard. And of course, we see him later on in the episode when Kanan decides that he's not going to stay home because he's pissed off. We know that Kanan was pissed off more so because Rock did go inside of the building where Famous lives and found out, of course, Kanan from last episode told Rock about her mom sleeping with Kanan, and we know that this is totally foul and disgusting, but of course Kanan is not hearing it, so he's just pissed off that he can no longer get in those cheeks with Palomar. He can no longer be in bed with Palomar because Rock has put the fear of God within her. So we know that that is the reason why Kanan ended up going to Detective Howard. After realizing that Famous is not home, he had nowhere else to go. This was literally a last resort. So that does finish out Detective Howard's story within this episode. Now, moving along, we do see Unique returning back in the episode, talking to the boss with this fly-ass fur coat. I am a woman of fur coats. I have a bunch of them in my closet, so this was right up my alley. But we see that Unique is playing the field. He's pretending like he doesn't know anything, when in actuality he does. And I think he does have some form of care for Rock and the family, in terms of he doesn't want to see, you know, the Italians win either. He doesn't want to be under anyone's thumbs. And so with that, he does have more of a chance at being his own boss with Rock's crew. So it does seem like he's playing the field a little bit. Now we get back into Lou and Zisa after they done roughed up the radio personality to finally play the music that they were supposed to play, that he actually paid him to play. We see that Lou is still upset, and Zisa is trying to, you know, she's trying to get some, she's trying to be sexy, have a little moment, and Lou's not hearing it until he finally hears the song that he produced and that she's singing, and all is well. And I mean, they did all of that. He was upset for what? Because you didn't even get to listen to the song. You wanted to go straight into doing the do. As we move along, we see that Rock is at the new house, and she has told Kanan to meet her at this house. And this is where all hell breaks loose. I mean, Rock is literally at her wit's end with trying to protect her son, but she has to realize that Kanan is no longer a small kid. And we do see her later on in the episode thinking back and reflecting on that conversation that she had with Kanan. And maybe she does regret lying to Kanan all of this time, because I mean, his room looks like it is a 10-year-old's room. He has twin bed. I mean, there's posters and stuff. She's just out of the loop of what her son actually wants. And so he does confront her on this and just lets her know that you're not telling me the whole truth, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm talking about. You just need to be upfront with me. So I'm just going to dip out, and I'm not coming home tonight. Now, while the Italians are mourning the death of Marco, we have our guy from the previous episode, I believe it was episode 5, called The Cat's Kills. We see that he lets them know that we know who was Marco's partner in crime at the time of his demise, and we can find out what really happened. Now, when they go to the hospital to visit him, he lets them know that basically it was Marvin. The Italian guy knew exactly who it was, and he did order that man to go ahead and take him out and finish the job, because you're an idiot. Why would you do this? Why would you go against me? Why would you do something that led to my son's death? Nonetheless, I really hope that they do find out what really happened, because that might change the trajectory of Marvin's fate in this show. Now we do get to a heartbreaking and heartfelt moment. I mean, this was all just a really good resolve between Jukebox and Marvin, but also it hurts to know that she was hurt in the process, and that was the only way that she found herself back to Marvin. Now we see that Marvin approaches Juke as she is burning the clothes that Kenya bought for her. And Marvin goes to Kenya the next day and basically, you know, goes off to protect his daughter. Like, I knew you were foul, but I didn't know you were this foul. Now, I don't know if the conversation was had with what actually happened to Jukebox inside that home, but we see that Jukebox has her braids, and this was a signature style that the original Jukebox and the original Power had. So I really loved seeing her form into this character that we know and love and hate all at once. But now we see why she was so cold and why she was so distant. But it was just really touching and nice to see that Marvin really took the time out to care for his daughter in that moment and just do what she asked. She didn't want to talk about it any further, and he was cool with that. And he even let her know, like, words mean something. And when I said, like, I'll hit you, I just mean that I'll call you later, like, I'll take my time. But it seems that she has the right idea that Marvin does love her. He just he's not good at communicating it. So it was actually really lovely to see them finally talking. Now, unfortunately, Marvin might meet his demise. Marvin may not make it, you guys, but we're going to get to that when we talk about what to expect. Now we see that Rock is at the store, and we have Detective Burke. I mean, nosy ass Detective Burke. She's acting like Detective Rodriguez at this point. But she does come up to Rock and let her know that, hey, I think you were a criminal informant at one point for us, for Detective Howard. And I just want to know, what happened. And why would she do this? Detective Burke may not make it past episode 10, but we'll talk about it. Now, after that brief interaction, we have Rock, Lou, we have Unique, and also Marvin in the same room, and they're discussing what happened. Rock and Lou are completely out of the loop in terms of why is the Italians wanting to see me by myself in person? Like, what's up? And Unique lets her know, check with Marvin. Marvin knows. Marvin is looking stupid like, yeah, so I paid his son for a job, and something happened during that job, and he got whacked. And in the process, I mean, that sounded horrible. I'm sorry, you guys. That is not how I usually talk. But basically, that's what Marvin was saying. So we do know that Rock ends up going to meet this boss man, and he goes off on this nice little story. And for a moment there, it did seem like he was about to be nice about the whole thing and just let it go. But he basically said what Unique said in season 1. Basically, the streets need a body. My son is gone, and it's on account of your brother going behind my back and enlisting someone from my crew who happened to be my son, and he happened to not make it out of that job. Now, Rock does bite back and let him know that's not my problem. Let me do it in the Rock's voice. Don't matter. That's not my brother's fault. Shit happens, Okay, that was my best impression of Rock, but you see where I'm going here. But basically, the boss man is like, damn, how'd you get so cold? Like, why are you acting like this? And Rock just letting him know for real, like, this isn't our fault. Your son took a job and he was paid. It just so happened that something went wrong during that job. Now, later on, we see that the boss man does give a head nod to the bartender to go ahead and take Marvin out. It's time for me to send my condolences to Rock. We see that Marvin goes to meet up with Renee, and poor Renee, we knew that they were going to, get together at some point. I just hate that she has to go through this, and I really hope that she did not get hurt, but also I hope that Marvin did not get hurt, at least fatally hurt. And so we see that the two men do come after Marvin, and they shoot, but while they're shooting, Renee is right next to Marvin. So we don't know what happened because the cameras turn off. You know how dramatic the Power universe is. And so they did leave us on a cliffhanger. And let me not forget that Crown actually washed up on the shore. So now we have to deal with Lou being in trouble with the cops because Crown is now washed up, and we are going to have to deal with another Detective Rodriguez. I mean, I will not let Detective Rodriguez, I will not let her go because her voice is in my head. So we have to deal with another cop on a case with another sibling inside the family. Now, what do you guys think of that episode? Let's briefly talk about what to expect on this next episode for episode 9. I expect things to be heated up. I expect things to be up in the air as far as Rock is concerned with her and Kanan. She's not going to get any more clear or through to him as she's been doing, because she's going to keep lying to Kanan. Now, I do expect Rock to follow up with Detective Burke, but I think she's going to actually target Detective Burke, and we know that Burke ain't gonna make it, okay? She's not gonna make it. Now, did Marvin make it? Did Marvin did he get offed in this episode? I don't know. I expect to see Marvin at the very least in the hospital. I expect to see him trying to recover. We don't know. Courtney Kemp has not given us any type of hints on if Marvin makes it through. It is pretty early to eliminate a main character like Marvin, but you just never know in the Power universe what they decide to do. We don't know how long Power Book 3 will go on for. We know that the original Power went on for 6 seasons. So it is low-key around that time to go ahead and clip the wings off of one of our main characters. But I would hate that it happens to Jukebox's father, especially on the day that she finally, resolves some issues with him. Now, I expect Jukebox to go full throttle Jukebox. I expect her to be hardcore because she just went through a lot of foul crap and dealing with her mom. And I expect her to have what is with the crazy moms on the Power universe? Can Courtney Kemp hit me up, girl, so we can write out some of these parents to be good parents? Because I'm tired, okay? I'm tired. Now, what else do we expect from episode 9? I also expect Lou to be interrogated by the police. And not only the police, but also we know Cartier wants to know where Crown Camacho is. And so when we find out that Crown Camacho was found and dug up, Lou is going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble, and he may be put in jail by the end of this season. Will we see Symphony again? That is a question that the fans want to know. Will Rock end up going back to Symphony, or will she bring Symphony back? At this point, Rock don't trust nobody. Nobody's getting trusted. It don't matter. I gotta stop. But no one is being trusted. So what do you guys think about this episode? And tell me what you think is going to happen on the next episode. Do you believe that Marvin is gone? Should I be putting rest in power, Marvin? Rest in peace, Marvin. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time on The Writer's Room.